Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from London by the author and international affairs analyst, Dr. Marek Laskiewicz. Dr. Laskiewicz, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Let's start with the attacks on Ukraine. What are you hearing about them? We understand they were massive with substantial damage and at least 6 people dead. And this was the first significant attack on the Ukrainian capital in at least 3 weeks.
Well, it shows, of course, 3 things. The first one is that Russia is fighting on, so no more talk of ceasefires, not even of a treaty. Russia is carrying on as before, simultaneously working militarily in southeastern Ukraine and attacking Kiev in an attempt to break civilian morale. And that's point number 2. These attacks are, of course, enormous, and they've caused great damage and some loss of life. However, point number 3 is that they are unlikely to succeed, or at least such attacks in the past in other areas have failed. The Blitz, which was the attack by the Germans on London, failed to break England's, or in particular London's, morale. Vice versa, when the English bombed the Germans, nothing much happened in terms of morale. The Germans fought to the bitter end. And so therefore, despite all the damage I made my previous point, and despite the loss of life, these attacks are to some extent simply an unfortunate waste of time in terms of it being a war-winning strategy.
Well, to buttress the point that you're making, the reports from Kyiv say there was nothing military where the attacks took place in the eastern part of Kyiv and other parts of Ukraine, but it was a very civilian part of the country.
Yes, I think that some of the Russian attacks were on civilians directly. The aim is to break the morale. I don't think they only target military targets. To be honest, it's not clear why targeting civilians is going to work better than targeting military. I presume that the Russians are worried that the military bases are better defended and so fewer drones will get through. So there is another reason why they target the civilians, because they're a soft target. But yes, they have targeted civilians in the past, have this time, and will in the future.
Well, let's delve a bit deeper into that, because, I mean, they hit apartment blocks and also some energy facilities. I mean, what do you reckon is Russia's strategy here? As you said, damage morale or make the economy impossible to work?
Yeah, the latter, I think, explains the energy. This was actually part of the bombing strategy of the British to knock out targets like ball bearing factories, for example, and vice versa. The Germans also had such targets in mind. The central problem is that Bomber Harris himself grew disillusioned with this. He called them panacea targets, which in fact got nobody anywhere. Okay, they take down some electricity facilities, some energy facilities. The Ukraine repairs them. They're not absolutely vital in the sense that there's just one power plant for the whole country which can be destroyed. And so therefore, although there is some damage, and although it has some economic impact, it won't make the economy unworkable, and indeed is unlikely to work for the same reason as was identified by the British bombing campaign in Germany. They just can't knock it all out, however hard they try.
And of course, at the same time, Ukraine itself has been targeting Russia's energy infrastructure as well as refineries and Black Sea ports to try and make it harder for Russia to export oil. I mean, how successful do you reckon it's been in its attempts to raise the cost of the war for Russia?
I think it's raised the cost of the war for Russia. However, the central problem is Russia's a very big country, and okay, something gets damaged, it's got more where that comes from. And so therefore, this counter-bombing campaign is unlikely to be decisive, but it does bring home to Russia that it's not all a one-way street with them pummeling Ukraine without having any punishment in return. So from the point of view of PR, because it shows the West, the Ukraine's fighting on, and PR within Russia in the sense it shows Ukraine hasn't given and it will fight on. That is very important. But yes, there is also some economic cost, but by no means decisive.
Dr. Laskiewicz, I want to thank you very much indeed. We have an abridged version today, so it's a slightly shorter chat. Dr. Marek Laskiewicz is the author and international affairs analyst. He was talking to me on the line there from London.